Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Sets video on the newly released Mega Pokemon for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about Mega Camerupt, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, ability, and stats. So to start things off, Mega Camerupt, much like the regular version of Camerupt, possesses the unique Fire Ground typing, and for its ability, trades away the Solid Rock ability and all the other abilities that regular Camerupt gets in favor of the more offensively oriented Sheer Force ability, which for those of you that do not know, Sheer Force is an ability that boosts the power of attacking moves that have a chance for a secondary effect to occur, while also getting rid of that chance for that secondary effect to occur. So basically, a fire type move generally has a chance to burn. The chance to burn counts as the secondary effect, but if you have the Sheer Force ability, the fire type's attack is increased by 30%, and at the same time, you no longer can burn with the fire type move, which generally is a 10% chance anyway, unless it's Lava Plume. So really, you're trading a minuscule chance for a secondary effect to occur in favor of a much greater power increase for all of your attacks that have a chance for that to happen. And this occurs with things that have a status like burning, flinching chances, chance to drop a stat on your opponent's Pokemon, pretty much a variety of effects. All those count under the influence of Sheer Force in boosting the damage of those attacks, but also losing the chance for that to happen. And before any of you ask, critical hit chance, or an increased chance of critical hit, does not fall under the category of Sheer Force, nor does a stat drop that you inflict upon yourself. So just throwing that out there for those of you that are probably going to ask. But for the Camerupt stats, just to take a look at them and how they change once this Pokemon does Mega Evolve, you can see that this Pokemon gets a 20-point increase into its physical attack, 30 points into its defense, 40 into its special attack, and then 30 points into its special defense, while also having its speed lowered by 20 points, which lends itself to be a very offensive Pokemon under Trick Room because of its lowered speed. And the great thing about its boosted special attack is that for the most part, most of the moves that Camerupt can make use of with the Sheer Force ability are its special attacks, namely moves like Fire Blast and things like an Earth Power and also other things like that. And those types of attacks coming off a Sheer Force boosted base 145 special attack are going to do a huge chunk of damage to pretty much anything that gets in the way of the moves. And that is amazing for this Pokemon because even though Camerupt has always been a pretty offensive Pokemon to begin with, as you can see with the regular version of Camerupt having base 100 attack and base 105 special attack, this will just set it over the limit of what it used to be able to do and just allow it to dish out a ton of damage to anything on your opponent's side of the field, while also being able to take hits a lot better overall, even though you do have to lose the Solid Rock ability to get the increased defenses. So overall, I would say that Mega Camerupt is a slow, bulky attacker that has a lot of powerful moves to use at its disposal. But with that, let's take a look at the first set that I have for you in this video. So for this first set, we are going to begin by giving Mega Camerupt a Quiet Nature to increase its special attack but lower its speed, and for the ability on the regular version of Camerupt, we are going to want to run Solid Rock as a way to potentially mitigate damage that is super effective on Mega Camerupt when we're trying to Mega Evolve it. But chances are you're never going to need this ability, but it's still the best defensive option to have on the regular version of Camerupt, which is obviously going to turn into Sheer Force once it does Mega Evolve. But for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its HP to max that out, 4 into its defense, and then 252 EVs into its special attack to max that out as well. And for the IVs, we're going to want to try to get 0 IVs in its speed to make Mega Camerupt as slow as possible, because this set is meant to be used under the effects of Trick Room, where the slower Pokemon will actually be moving first on the field of battle. And for the item, we're obviously going to be wanting to use the Cameruptite item to allow this Pokemon to achieve its Mega Evolution. But for the moves, this set is just an incredibly straightforward offensive set to run on this Pokemon. So the first two moves are going to be both of our stab attacks, Fire Blast being our stab fire move, and Earth Power being our stab ground move. And the great thing about both of these moves is not only are they going to be boosted by the fact that they are stab, but also they are boosted because they both have a chance of a secondary effect occurring, Fire Blast having the chance to burn, Earth Power having the chance to lower your opponent's special defense. And as a result, both of these moves are going to be boosted by Sheer Force, increasing their power to astronomical levels, to say the least. This will allow you basically to do a ton of damage to pretty much anything on your opponent's side of the field, as the coverage between Fire Blast and Earth Power is amazing in itself, So there are very few things that your opponent will be able to have on their side of the field that will be resisting or be immune to both of these types of attacks. So these are the two go-to moves for the set, but additionally we do want to have some coverage, and we are going to do this through the use of Hidden Power Grass, and then for the last move slot either Ancient Power or Flash Cannon to give you some more type coverage, allowing you to hit more things for super effective damage. Now the important thing to note here though is that Fire Blast and Earth Power, both being stab and both being boosted by sheer force, tend to do more damage when they hit neutrally than one of the other two moves on the set that hits for a super effective hit. So for example, Hidden Power Grass on a water type Pokemon would hit for super effective damage, but Earth Power, because it is boosted by sheer force and because it is boosted by stab, actually does more damage neutrally than a Hidden Power Grass that is hitting for super effective damage. However, on a Pokemon that say is 4 times weak to Grass, that move will actually be doing more damage than Earth Power, So it's really something you have to be conscious of when selecting attacks for this Pokemon, because more often than not, Fire Blast and Earth Power will cover all the options that you need, but the other two moves on the set, whether you go with Ancient Power or Flash Cannon along with Hidden Power Grass, are there for additional type coverage if you need it to hit something that might be immune to one and resisting the other, such as a Pokemon like Charizard or something like that, which is immune to Earth Power but resists Fire Blast, and in that case Ancient Power would be able to easily take it out. So it's important to be conscious of that when using this particular set, but know that overall the type coverage you get on the set is absolutely phenomenal and lets you hit a variety of things for super effective damage, or at least a really powerful neutral effective hit. As for this next set, this one combines the offensive power of the previous one while also trying to make better use of Mega Camerupt's increased defenses when it does Mega Evolve. So for this one, we're going to run a Modest Nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack, and then running the Solid Rock ability on the regular version of Camerupt yet again. As for the EVs though, again we're going to be running 252 HP EVs, 4 defense EVs, and 252 special attack EVs to give it its max HP and special attack possible, along with the Cameruptite item. And for the moves, this time again we're going to be using the Fire Blast and Earth Power stab coverage that we used in the previous set, but the main difference is that we are actually going to be running the famous Rest Sleep Talk combination on this particular set to allow Mega Camerupt to last a lot longer in battle by giving it a way to recover off its health and also any statuses it might have while still being an offensive threat even when it is asleep because of the use of Sleep Talk. And as I mentioned previously on the first set, Fire Blast and Earth Power generally give you all the coverage you more or less need, and in cases even when another attack would be super effective, because both of these moves are stab and boosted by sheer force, they still often did more damage. So we basically cut out the last two options for the sole offensive set, where you're just basically running 4 attacking moves, in favor of a way to make use of Camerupt's increased defenses, thus allowing it to last longer in the battlefield through the use of now having a way to recover its health back. So overall, this one still has the offensive presence of the first set, but allows it to last a lot longer in battle, and thus allows it to potentially do more damage overall to your opponent's Pokemon. As for this last set, this one is designed to give Mega Camerupt a lot more utility on the battlefield and also make use of its increased defensive stats, allowing it to last a lot longer in battle. So to start things off on this one, we are going to give it a Calm Nature to increase its special defense but lower its physical attack, and again using the ability Solid Rock on the regular version of Camerupt. As for the EVs, this time we're going to put 252 into its HP to max that out, 4 into defense, and then 252 EVs into its special defense to max that out, making this Pokemon as specially defensive as it can possibly be, and then using the item Cameruptite to allow it to achieve its Mega Evolution. As to the moves, this time the first thing that we're going to go with on this set is going to be Stealth Rock, which is a great move to allow us to set up entry hazards on our opponent's side of the field and allow them to continuously take residual damage anytime something is switched in, provided they obviously don't defog it or rapid spin it away. And in NU, last generation, and I guess currently before this Pokemon gets released, Stealth Rocking is what Camerupt was known to do, and it does it very well because it has such a unique typing in doing so. So there's no reason why you shouldn't ever not use Stealth Rock on a Mega version of Camerupt, so that is why I wanted to have that here, along with the use of the move Will-O-Wisp, which will allow this Pokemon to inflict burns on its opponents. Typically, a regular version of Camerupt would use Lava Plume and try and fish for the 30% chance for the burn to happen, but since Mega Camerupt cannot get a burn chance from any of its attacks because of the sheer force ability, we have to be a little bit more direct in how we actually apply the burn, and Will-O-Wisp is the best way to do that. And Will-O-Wisp obviously will decrease your opponent's physical attack, which is then going to be augmented by the fact that we're running a max specially defensive set, thus allowing you to potentially take hits very well from both the physical and special side after a burn has been applied. And then for the last two moves, Fire Blast and Earth Power again as your main stab attacks to give you pretty much the majority of the coverage you will ever need and allow this Pokemon to continue to do a lot of damage, even though this set is still designed to be a little bit more defensive through the use of the special defense EVs and the Will-O-Wisp move. So overall, this is just another effective way to use Mega Camerupt that's a little bit more defensive oriented and can very easily help out your team by applying those burns and setting up entry hazards. As for some other options though with this Pokemon, there is actually the potential to run a Rock Polish set on this Pokemon, even though its speed is getting decreased. And the reason for that is because Rock Polish does boost your speed by 2 stages, effectively doubling it. And that is a respectable speed for pretty much any Pokemon, whether or not they have an incredibly low base speed. So if Mega Camerupt is able to actually outspeed a ton of things after a Rock Polish, there's no reason why you should ever forgo the idea of using it, even though it's not obviously going to be faster than everything like some other Pokemon would be. But it is still definitely an option if you want to use this Pokemon in a speedy way, but outside of Trick Room. Additionally, you could also potentially try and run a mixed set, but in my opinion, even though there are the options to do that with this Pokemon because of its increased physical attack and access to moves like Earthquake and Stone Edge and things like that, the one thing that this Pokemon really suffers from not learning is Superpower, which I believe would give it a very effective mix set to potentially run. But overall, its mix set could be useful to allow it to break through some special walls because a very powerful Earthquake coming off its 120 base attack with, max attack, along with maybe the use of like Fire Blast or something like that for the special side, could be extremely useful for this Pokemon to run if the opportunity presents itself. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video, so I want to thank you all for watching, and as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.